Thank you for checking out today's video, why Tyrese Haliburton was a steal for the Sacramento Kings at 12th overall. Go subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up with our latest videos. So Tyrese Haliburton is one of the top players from this past 2020 draft class and was actually drafted 12th overall by the Sacramento Kings. From the outside looking in, he really seems to be a great person who comes from a really supportive family, and it's the type of guy you want in your team's locker room. He has great character and a really nice personality. His game is just as impressive as his personality, as he was one of the best players in college basketball last season, and leading up to the draft, he was an overall top 5 talent and a lock to definitely go within the top 10. A little more about his background. Haliburton is actually from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and actually played with current Heat guard Tyler Herro, growing up in a similar circuit, AAU-wise, and just playing hoops together. For college, Haliburton would attend Iowa State, and it eventually became one of the most productive players in the 2 years that he was there. As a sophomore, he actually averaged over 15 points, just under 6 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and 2.5 steals. So he was extremely productive, extremely versatile, touched the game in every facet, in every way, and would actually be named to all Big 12 second team. And following his sophomore season, quickly entered his name into the NBA draft. In leading up to last week's NBA draft, all the experts projected him to be a top 10 pick. So let's dig into his game, why that was the case, why he obviously went 12th overall, what he does well, and how it'll project and what he should be able to do day one when he steps in the NBA. And I'll just point out real quickly, I am shocked that he was drafted at 12th overall, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So at 6'5", he's able to affect the game offensively and defensively. On offense, he's a lead guard who creates plays for others, but can just as easily score. Off the ball, he can knock down shots with his feet set, but he can also score off movement as well. And on the defensive end, he's able to guard the point, the 1, the 2, and even the 3, and he displayed all these skills at Iowa State. He was one of the most efficient and versatile players in college, and those skills are going to follow with him and project right into the NBA. Offensively, he'll be able to play both the point and 2 guard, which is a trait that's invaluable in the game today. And he's really fast, shifty, he can get anywhere he wants on the court, and he really uses his handle to do so. If you average over 6 assists a game in college and you rarely turn the ball over, or you do so as little as he did, what that really tells me is that you know how to control the pace, you know how to get good looks for yourself and your teammates, and you know how to keep an offense in rhythm. He does a really nice job setting up defenders when he's in the pick and roll, and he also, again, changes pace so well, so he keeps that defender on his heels, and especially in that pick and roll setting, doing so helps you so much because that defender is always reacting as opposed to guessing and being proactive. The NBA game today is full of pick and rolls, so I'm really excited to see what Tyrese is able to do and the opportunities he's going to create for Marvin Bagley specifically and whoever is on the weak side wing. With his frame and longer limbs, his hesitation dribble is extremely effective, and not just working off screens, but also his drive game. It's his go-to as opposed to jump pass or jumping to leave his feet, where he'll actually speed up and then decelerate just to give himself a few extra seconds to read a defense and react. And his strengths of dribbling, he's got that down where he can drive it either way, and he doesn't rely on one hand over the other. So him being able to drive with the left, being able to drive with the right, will only make him more of a threat off the bounce and a more complete playmaker. The next phase of his offensive attack that he really does really well is passing. As we alluded to before, he averaged over 6 assists in college per game. He sees plays happening, and he can decisively make quick decisions that lead to scoring opportunities for others. The Cyclones knew that he could make every pass that was needed, and the Kings will be able to put the ball in his hands knowing he'll be able to pass it at the right times that lead to baskets. Haliburton can quickly come off a dribble or a move and deliver a dime effortlessly and quickly. And that's an ability that is not always the case, or other players can't always execute that transition as smoothly. Now let's talk about scoring. Everyone loves a scorer. So as a scorer, he can get it done at every level on the floor. He can use his speed and frame to finish the floater and use the spin off the glass. Although he is a little slender in frame, some physical guys can probably keep him off a drive, so that's something he'll have to work on. But overall, he's really potent inside the free throw line. Once he gets to the paint, he can finish. Off the bounce, he can pull up in the mid-range and keep you honest and pick and roll, so that's definitely a strength. But his biggest asset and his ability to knock down the three ball from the three-point line, he displayed that in college. He was one of the best three-ball shooters last year, and that's what's really going to help him as he transitions into the NBA. He can spot up in either corner or wing when he's off the ball and knock those threes down. He can do it off the bounce and creating for himself. And one of the toughest things to do consistently is make jumpers off the bounce in live game action. Whether it's a mid-range, whether it's a three-pointer, it's one of the hardest things to do, and that's what the really good players are able to do. And Haliburton is able to do that from all over the floor, and I think that's why he's really such a valuable asset, and I'm really surprised he lasted 12 picks. So he can do it all in a draft where there were so many question marks, and again, I'm really surprised that he fell as far as he did because every team in the league can use a player like him on their team. And when you think about what he can do offensively, and then you pair that with his defensive ability and activity, you are confident, and I know for sure if you're a Kings fan out there, you should be thrilled because you know he'll be able to step in day one and contribute. So let's talk about the team he's going to be joining in a few weeks, and the Sacramento Kings. You know, the Kings are obviously on the rebuild. They have some good young pieces, but still face a little bit longer road back to prominence. They do have a new leadership group who are making basketball decisions and recently decided not to match Atlanta's offer on Bogdan Bojanovic. And so they have a plan, and obviously this new regime and group are sticking with that. You've got De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley, Buddy Hield, and others, but they need another playmaker who can coexist on both ends of the floor with De'Aaron Fox. Buddy is able. He's a good, potent offensive player, but obviously he's not a strong defender, and he currently doesn't start. So I think they could use a two guard that can start right away, who obviously can defend and score. Haliburton definitely fits that. Or you could bring him off the bench with Buddy to produce and have a pretty potent tandem off the bench as well. And again, I think this is a fantastic pick for the Kings because he can exist and thrive without hampering or taking from anyone else. He can start. You can bring him off the bench. He can score. He can just go guard. When he's playing with offensive-minded players like Buddy, he can facilitate for him and get him in spots to finish. Whereas opposed to when you need him to be the lead guard, Haliburton can really drive in, produce, and get scoring opportunities for the whole team. So they hit a home run picking him 12th. And when you think about it, they didn't have to move up. They didn't have to trade anything away to go get him. It makes it even better. Haliburton will need to get stronger over time, and he will. I think from a skill and mental awareness perspective, he's going to be great for the Kings. He knows what it takes to make it to the league. He works hard. He's played with other pros at other levels. So he'll be just fine from a locker room standpoint as well. And in thinking about a couple of players I kind of see his game maybe growing into, I think the first one that comes to mind is a little bit of Shawn Marion. I think Shawn Marion was obviously a player who affected both ends of the floor. He had a really unique and funky shot, but he was able to obviously make threes and score it and get to the basket and finish as well. Haliburton is a little bit shorter than Shawn Marion, but I envision the same kind of impact that Shawn Marion had on his teams. You know, Tyrese will come in day one. He's a winner. He's going to play hard, and he'll likely be on the court quite a bit once he gets his groove and finds his place in the league. Kings fans know what Bobby Jackson brought to their teams back in the early 2000s. He was a guy who came off the bench with energy and scoring ability. He could score it, obviously. He could drive it. He led the second unit. He always brought it. And I can definitely see Haliburton making a name for himself in a similar type of role. You can put him with that second group. He can score, provide the scoring opportunity. He can make plays and create for that group as well. So that's another player that I envision. He's got a little bit of his game, and that'd be a great thing if it worked out. And lastly, I think the last player we'll talk about whose game Tyrese Haliburton's game could eventually resemble is another Kings legend and a well-known Kings player in Doug Christie. Doug Christie was a tough-minded two-guard. He was a complete two-way player. He knocked down big shots on the wing, and he was always able to mix it up and was always willing to mix it up guarding the other team's best player. I remember his battles with Kobe, and I think Haliburton won't be afraid to pick up anyone and guard either. As he gets stronger, he'll be an even better defender, and I think you'll start to see him playing maybe even some threes at a 6'5" frame. So I see a lot of good things for Tyrese Haliburton and the Kings. I couldn't be more happy for this franchise. They could really use some good things and some good sort of juju, so to say, and they definitely got some of that good in this draft. Haliburton resembles some of the good players in their past, but he obviously also has the tools of the modern game to not only excel, but become one of the best players in the league. His skills and ability to play both guard positions make him an asset, and although they are still a few years away, I know Kings fans are going to be especially happy and knowing that they have Tyrese Haliburton on their roster when the new year rolls around. So thank you for checking out today's video. Go hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you back soon.